Bionanogenomics, BNGO, it's going crazy. People are talking about it, a lot of chatter, a lot of noise, but everybody's missing three important things about this company you must know because they're critical for the future valuation of this stock. And I want to give you these before trading opens today. So I hope I can get this video out before 9 a.m. I'm going to try. If the editing's going to suck, don't hate me for that. But before I get started, let me just say hello. My name is Nash, former senior financial analyst, now a full-time YouTuber talking to you about financial education and the stock market. Now, I previously did two videos about BNGO, Bionano. In my first video that came out on January 1st, I told you, hey, this is an undervalued company. The share price was $3.08. And I told you, hey, this thing is going to go to $5. Here's the clip so you see I am not blowing smoke up your ass. Roll the clip. And that means the company is undervalued. And if you average these two, you get 5. Meaning that the company is still undervalued. Now, that DCF that you just saw and all the templates that we use to evaluate these companies is available to download on our Patreon page for all levels, starting for $5 and up. Now, that DCF that you just saw and all the templates that we use to evaluate these companies is available to download on our Patreon page for all levels, starting for $5 and up. Now, that DCF that you just saw and all the templates that we use to evaluate these companies is available to download on our Patreon page for all levels, starting for $5 and up. Now, that DCF that you just saw and all the templates that we use to evaluate these companies is available to download on our Patreon page for all levels, starting for $5 and up. There's three things everybody keeps missing about this company, and in this video I want to explain those. Now, before we get started, let me explain something. Genomics is freaking complicated. I'm not an expert. I'm not a physician. Most of you aren't as well. Genomics is freaking complicated. I'm not an expert. I'm not a physician. Any actual expert on this, want to comment below and let us know what they think about this company and its technology, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you, good or bad. Now, it is extremely complicated. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm an expert in this. I'm definitely not. But there's three things I want to discuss about this company which I think are extremely important and get overlooked by the community. Now, number one, let's talk about the delusion equation. It's really important. It doesn't get enough credit and enough topics of discussion. Number two, I think the whole delusion is misunderstood by most investors. Let's talk about it. And number one, I think a lot of people don't understand what is BNGO and what it isn't. It really is important. I know I'm being vague here. Let me explain. You know what? Let me start with number 3 and then we move on the list. So let's start with what BNGO is and what BNGO isn't. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube that people basically explain that BNGO might be limited to just research. It's a research application that might be used by labs and it's a research tool. Now, if you define BNGO as just a research tool, you're really limiting the scope of what it can be, or its potential on the upside. A research development company is limited to a very little amount of users. However, if you're talking about a diagnostical company, a diagnostics medical tool, you're talking about a massive market. There's no comparison as far as what the upside is, if this is diagnostics or if this is for research. Now, there's a debate going on. Let me tell you my idea and how I understand it. Based on everything I saw, BNGO is definitely headed down the diagnostics path, much more than just being a research company. Let me explain why. So let's talk about CMAs, chromosomal microarray testing. And by the way, I'm not an expert on the topic. If you are, let me know below what you think. So CMAs can actually do the downstream today, but it's a manual process that is done in the lab and it takes time. They claim that the device can actually do it automatically and much faster, much more accurately. However, there's more because that is not a game changer in my opinion. You know, getting things faster and more automatically is nice. But here's the actual kicker here. They say because their device is not using sequencing like CMAs do, they can actually use their device as a diagnostical tool for cancer, which is insane to me. If this thing can actually diagnose cancer, it's a massive opportunity because as far as I understand it, current genomics and genetic testing, like the CMA testing that we have right now, are compatible for screening and detecting and diagnosing cancer. Now, this thing actually is true. That's a massive game changer. This actually becomes much more than a research tool to an actual cancer diagnostic tool. It's massive. It's a lot of opportunity, a lot of upside, depending on the they're actually doing what these guys say it's doing. Because I'm not a physician, but once this thing gets validated, once we see it's working, it's going to go crazy. Now, the second thing I want to talk about today is the dilution and how it's completely misunderstood by a lot of retail investors. Friday, the company actually announced that they're diluting, they're raising more cash. It's a no-brainer. The stock price is crazy. They need it ASAP. So it's a no-brainer, but it's also meaningless as far as the future of the company. A lot of retail investors just don't understand. Let me explain. When you're getting diluted, your percentage of ownership of the company goes down. So if I own 100% of the company, and it used to be 100%, once a new party comes in, now I give them 100 shares. Now my 100 shares are worth 50% instead of 100%. So I can dilute it by half. Anyways, that's bad, right? Not necessarily. In fact, most often it's not relevant. Because that guy, I just give him 50% because it's nice. I give him probably 50% because he's putting a lot of money into the company. Well, imagine this scenario. Imagine you were running out of cash, you were dead broke, and this thing guy just came in with $5 million. So the company's now worth $5 million more than it was worth before you got diluted. So now you own half of $5 million, and before you want 100% of zero. So the dilution actually made you richer. So I'm not saying that this is the case here, but I'm saying dilution, especially when you're raising capital, is meaningless because what you're getting here is an influx of a lot of cash. Now, if the management sucks and they build gyms and spend the money on nonsense, then it's a bad idea. However, if the management is good and they use that cash to actually convert the company as far as profitability, scaling up, including if management is good and not going to squander it on gyms and lollipops, they're actually going to use that cash to generate more cash in the future, increase revenue, then you actually make money in dilution. So dilution is all in the management. If the management is good and they can leverage that extra cash to actually increase profitability in the future, dilution is actually good for the company because it allows its opportunity to actually grow more. Now, if you think the management sucks, then that's a bad thing. Dilution is not good for you. However, in that case, you should have invested in the company in the first place. The third point I want to make here happened recently and was huge for Bionano, and nobody actually covered it the way it should have been. It's critical. It's cataclysmic. On August 24th, Bionano did something that a lot of the companies in its position would never do. They acquired another company for a lot of money. But that acquisition was bold, was smartly done, and actually shows a lot of what I was saying earlier. They're going for diagnostics hard. Lineagen, which was the company they acquired, is a diagnostics company. They're developing LDTs, laboratory developed tests for autism, which is one of the main things for Sapphire, autism detection, which is huge. Now, this company was acquired with very little cash. They mainly piled up BNGO stock on the owners of this company and pretty much took it with a little cash. Let me show you. So this was the consideration here. So BioNano paid approximately 9.6 million, but out of it, only 1.7 was in cash. So kudos to the management here. They managed to acquire an important company like Lineagen for 1.7 million in cash. Rest of it was compensation by stocks, which was smart. But let me show you what this company actually is. Lineagen is a provider of proprietary molecular diagnostic services for individuals showing clinical presentation consistent with neurodevelopmental disorders, including autism spectrum disorder, ASD, and other disorders of childhood development. What BioNano did with this acquisition was huge. They spent very little cash and got an incredible company that puts them forward in diagnostics. And I think these 3 points make BioNano an awesome opportunity to invest long term. What BioNano did with this acquisition was huge. They spent very little cash and got an incredible company that puts them forward in diagnostics. And I think these 3 points make BioNano an awesome opportunity to invest long term. Now, that DCF that you just saw and all the templates that we use to evaluate these companies is available to download on our Patreon page for all levels, starting for $5 and up. Now, that DCF that you just saw and all the templates that we use to evaluate these companies is available to download on our Patreon page for all levels, starting for $5 and up.
The whole idea is to get out of the U.S. dollar, to get out of a currency that is on the verge of collapse. This is hyperinflation. This is Zimbabwe.
Now, that DCF that you just saw and all the templates that we use to evaluate these companies is available to download on our Patreon page for all levels, starting for $5 and up.